is one of those people. So this is called Gwenine. It's a kind of an affectionate term, Irish way of talking to people. Lavine is one of them, and her name was Gwen. She was Scottish, but it worked.
Hello, friends. It is so good to be here with you again. I just love this congregation. And whenever I come here, it feels like going home. I grew up in a fellowship, and I know you're not a fellowship, but I grew up in a little fellowship in Bloomington, Minnesota, and it just feels like when I walk through your doors, I'm coming home. I've been reading Francis Weller's book. You probably know it, The Wild Edge of Sorrow. He's got a new book coming out, and I thought I should read this one either again or for the first time, I can't remember, before I read the new one. And I was really touched. He says, "A sense of belonging offers us much needed medicine in these times, which are marked by feelings of anonymity and isolation." So I hope together today we can gather some tools and remind ourselves about the things we know about building that belonging. I know that probably half a dozen of you could come up here and give the sermon, and we would also all learn from it too, but and I honor that. I honor the wisdom of the room. But since I'm up here with the microphone, I'll just go ahead. And remember, being here today, whether you've been a member for decades or you've walked through our doors for the first time today, is an act of belonging. So we're already halfway there. But of course, I've got three tools today for your toolbox of spiritual medicine. And these are things that we can all do to build community and belonging in our fractured society. We're going to come together with meaning and purpose and interconnection, which in my theology might be called sacred belonging. These are tools that we can use at the grocery store or at the doctor's office or even with our most intimate, beloved people. Our first tool in the spiritual toolbox is listening. And this is, I call heart-to-heart listening. And the first step in that is to hold the person you're listening to, that you're with, in unconditional positive regard. So before you know their story, before you know their position, or beyond their story and beyond their position, to hold them with the energy of inherent worth and dignity, as we talk about in Unitarian Universalism. You say, I see you just as you are. And that presence creates an energy of connection. From this presence of unconditional positive regard, we can move into what trauma expert Thomas Hubel calls attunement. And I'm going to read what he says. Attunement is a state of conscious receptivity and inner resonance. But it begins within a felt sense of our own body, our emotions, our spirit, and then it extends out to create kind of a resonant field. And I like to think of it as an infinity loop of energy between me and the person that I'm listening to. So I become attuned. My nervous system is grounded, which helps their nervous system be grounded. It's not only our ears, but our whole embodied self. Staying calm and open with that attunement builds trust in the person that we're with. Mennonite minister and theologian David Augsburger writes, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable. I'll read that again. Being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable. So when we listen, not for our turn to talk, but with unconditional positive regard and attunement, people experience that love. It's an embodied love. And we choose to do this. This is not a prescription to always do this. This is a choice. But when we do this, the belonging becomes embodied. We feel it in our nervous system and in our heart and in a spiritual realm, even in our soul. In our world marked by division and upheaval and lament, this attunement is a practice of weaving community back together, one authentic connection at a time. And now I'm going to invite you to practice a little bit, something that my beloved teacher, Reverend John Mabry, taught me when I was in seminary. And he taught me to listen in 3 voices. So we begin with the first voice. We listen to a speaker being fully present. With the things we talked about, the attunement, the unconditional positive regard, and we're going to try it together. I'll tell you a brief story, and then I'll tell you a brief story, and I'll invite you to listen with those tools we just talked about, that unconditional positive regard and that attunement. So get yourself ready. I'm going to tell a story, and we'll pause afterwards to gather any insights. I was walking my dog, Lily, this week. Now, Lily has been a troublesome, reactive dog from birth. She had a brain injury when she was born, so she's a really special dog and has been, barks at anything she sees, and fireworks make her pant and walk on the bed in circles, and scooters, for some reason, those noisy scooters that kids ride, make her just bonkers. She turns into a Tasmanian devil. But this week, we stepped out of our front door, and the rabbit who lives in our bushes hopped away, and she didn't notice it. And as we walked, kids on scooters, we have a great neighborhood of kids, but kids on scooters rode by, and she didn't hear it. And then our neighbor cat, Buddy, the big orange cat under the truck that we walked by, looked at her, and she looked at him, and she just turned and walked away. She just kept walking. And I realized, she's 13, and my years with her, my days with her might be pretty short. She's got a heart condition. So I'm thankful. We can give her the medicine she needs. We can take care of her. We can make her time. We can make her crazy good food. But we're coming to the closing years at least. Yeah. So when you listen to that, what do you hear in my voice, in my tone, in the pauses? What did you feel from my energy? And did it offer you insight into what deeper I might be feeling? What's behind those emotions? What's behind that reaction? We'll move on to our second story. But this is the second voice. This is listening to your experience, what moves through your body as you have that attunement and that presence. As you listen with your mind, your body, your heart, your soul, you can gain insight from what you're experiencing. So you continue to listen to the speaker, but then you ask yourself, what is moving for this person I'm listening to? What's happening? What might I understand beyond the words from my own intuition, my own body, what's moving through me? Okay, so another story. On Friday, I had a conversation with my dear friend Diana. We've been friends for 40 years. And she is raising a second family. So her kids are grown in their 30s, but her housemate has an 11-year-old, and they're raising this young person together. Well, Aster came home from school, and her assignment was to do algebra with her adults, have her adults do the problem. Now, my friend Diana, when we were in high school together, she did a math contest, and she was the first person done. And she went up and turned in her paper, but she had one error. And so my husband was the second person done, and he got it all right. But he's an engineer, so has continued to do math his whole life. But she's an artist. She creates beautiful jewelry and paintings and music. She's in a threshold choir. So she couldn't do it. She couldn't remember how to do this simple 11-yearold's algebra. And as she told me this story, she cried. She said, I don't know who I am. This was how I achieved when I was young, and I can't remember how to do this anymore. And she cried. And my heart, she's got chronic heart failure and Crohn's disease. And we're almost 60, and so the things we used to know are narrowing. We're forgetting the things that don't matter. So there's beauty in that, right? We can focus on the beautiful things in front of us that matter. But the thinking about my dear friend, and then I had a dream. There's 4 of us in this little group, and I had a dream that one of my other friends died. And she said to me, oh, I'm just the first one, Carrie. We're all going to go. So, what do you understand when you feel that story in your body? What might you know about my experience from your experience of listening? Not only to me, my pauses, my emotion, I told you more than I meant to, but the way I felt. What did you notice about what might be your follow-up question based on what you noticed, or what might you do? Maybe you would just hold my hands and say, wow, that's big. Tell me more. Because you had an experience, maybe you've had a similar thing happen in your life, and that resonance, that infinity loop meant a lot to you. All right, now the third voice. This is listening to the divine, and come with me here. Use your inner translator, your inner you translator. However you name that which is greater than self, beyond, known by many names and beyond all names. Universe, Spirit, God, Mama Gaia, the Holy, Love. Whatever you call this is that which is greater than self. If it's comfortable for you, I invite you to let that presence sit beside you. or to dwell within your heart and soul. When I listen in three voices, I give consent to invite God in my body, come into my soul, and to listen with me. When we do this, we hear the story, the facts, the nuance, the tone of voice, all those tools. We connect with our own deep knowing. But when we listen with the presence of divine, we bring connection to all that is, all that has ever been. We listen beyond the speaker with the ears of the universe. So invite, if it's open to you, if you're interested in it, invite to sit with you, come into your heart, your soul, and I'll tell another story. Yesterday, I went to Scenic State Park with a group of friends. 20 years ago, when we moved here, we were homeschooling, and I didn't know anybody, and I was very lonely. The mornings were really hard. Eventually, we found a little public homeschool school where there were teachers, certificated teachers who taught the older kids, but there was lunch games and ceramics too. And there we found family. So for 20 years, this little circle of people, we've raised our kids together. We've had babies born and parents die and tragedy and joys. We've walked each other through life. So yesterday I was walking to the bathroom and my friend John said to me, "Oh, when you get there, it's not marked, but the first one is the men's. So go around the corner to the women's." And somehow tears pricked in my eyes, and I thought, this man who I've known for 20 years cares enough about me to say, to stop. And he didn't have to, but to say, "Be careful, Carrie. There's something up ahead. I care about you and I want you to know." Very simple. But as we left, I said to this group, I said, "Thank you for walking through life with me. I love you all." Connect with that divine again. What might that tell you about my experience, about what's behind the words? Sometimes what comes is a vision, a feeling, and it gives you insight you don't even have to say to the person, but it can be astounding how accurate what you're experiencing and what you notice is. It might not feel like it makes any sense, but it's out beyond ideas. Thank you for going with me there. This deep listening and attuned presence and unconditional positive regard is the first step in creating belonging. It's listening. Y'all made me cry. Just grab this one. Oh, I love this congregation so much. So this deep listening, this attuned presence, this unconditional positive regard absolutely creates belonging in an intimate way. As Reverend Augsburger reminds us, it feels like being loved. But there's more. Now we move from heart to heart to hand, taking action together. The sense of belonging grows when we are working side by side or loving side by side. I can see on your website that you partner with many groups. So maybe you've packed groceries side by side with people at the Vashon Food Bank, or worked with our youngest community members at Vashon Kids. Maybe you've supported neighbors with the Interfaith Council for Prevention of Homelessness, or helped build homes. Each act is a thread in the tapestry of community and belonging. Maybe bring to mind a time when you've done service hand to hand, side by side. This work can be incredibly powerful when we work beyond the boundaries of faith, religion, or beyond the boundary of ideology. Excuse me. I know that for me, protesting with a multi-faith group of people is incredibly powerful. A few years ago, when there was the bombing at the mosque in Australia, I showed up at a mosque in Bellevue with a bunch of people, no coordination, we just all came, called by heart and soul. And it was incredibly meaningful. And when the protest or the presence was, vigil maybe, was dying down, people came out from the mosque with containers of food, and we all sat down and ate together. That was incredible belonging. I have a colleague who was the first person on the scene of a terrible accident. He saw it happen, and he got out to help, and the next person that arrived had a MAGA hat on. But they were just two people stopping the bleeding, calling 911, holding a hand, holding a calm presence for the victim, but for each other too. Just people. Spiritual leaders do this work, of course. Wally Mayton, who's a retired Presbyterian minister, speaks of neighboring, the intentional act of engaging with other people, of knowing their names, of sharing burdens, of sharing one sidewalk edger between a neighborhood, of celebrating together. And in Unitarian Universalism, the Side with Love movement works toward the goal of creating beloved community where everyone can thrive. And I think I see that someplace, maybe it's in the office. Beloved community is present here too. And I'm quite sure you do this many days, every day, in many, many ways. I have what I call a ministry of waving to my neighbors, no matter which lawn sign they had out for the last election. And that creates a smile, a wave, it creates belonging. And when you do these, each act of service is love. So remember your acts, honor that. You are creating belonging here in this world every day. It doesn't have to be giant. It doesn't have to be building a house. It can be helping somebody unpack their groceries. I know when I was a young mother, somebody said, "Are we going to the car?" and picked up my 2 grocery bags and carried them out for me. Community belonging. The third way the larger way I want to talk about belonging is soul to soul, honoring each person's light. And together today we lit this chalice. We formed an ad hoc choir and wove our voices together, blended our voices together. So right here and right now, we are honoring the light in each other. And it's a spark of the divine, brings us in our whole beings together. And by extension, that light goes beyond and beyond. That same sense is woven through many faith traditions where, of course, much of the world feels close belonging with the people of their faith. The core of Christianity teaches that each person is made in the image of the divine. In Buddhism, there's the Buddha nature that's said to reside in all beings and what Thich Nhat Hanh called indwelling. Indigenous folks in the Lakota, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and other tribes honor the great spirit that resides in all things. And in the Unitarian Universalist faith, of course, there's the affirmation of the inherent worth and dignity, which is, in my theology, sacred. This honoring is not merely a gesture, it's a practice, and it knits us together. When we see each other as reflections of the sacred, of the divine spark, we connect beyond belonging, beyond circumstance, beyond time, and beyond space. Not just with our minds, but with our souls. Our bodies are literally made up of atoms that formed when stars were born and died. So, on trees, water, wild, everything was created of those atoms. So just by existing, we belong. Even when we are alone, we belong. As the poet Rumi, the mystic poet Rumi, peace be upon him, beautifully expresses, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are an entire ocean in a drop. So when we connect soul to soul, transformation occurs. Change can be undone. Change, like laws, like rules, like treaties, can be undone. But Justin Michael Williams, a singer-songwriter, teaches that change is one thing, but transformation is different. Transformation cannot be undone. So the printing press, electricity, the internet, those have fundamentally changed our society. When we create belonging, we can transform our communities. In fact, we do transform our communities. And because this transformation is not only personal, but collective, it ripples out beyond, beyond, beyond. Now, as Michelle Obama says in her book, Becoming, I've learned that it's harder to hate up close. Yeah, so all of this belonging, it dissipates that hate that we feel so much in our culture right now. When we see each other clearly, when we honor each other's lights, those barriers do dissolve and the belonging deepens. Let's take this in for a moment. The sacred light of all is present with us. May we see the star stuff in each other today and on and on and on. Thank you so much for coming with me on this journey, this listening, this presence, this curiosity, for taking my stories so lovingly. Hand to hand, serving in many ways, heart to heart, listening with attunement and unconditional positive regard, soul to soul, honoring that sacred spark in every being. When we see those literal atoms created when the stars exploded in one another, we know that we are all one, that the unitive oneness of all means that we belong to each other. No backs. So let's put these tools in our toolbox. Let's choose when to listen. This is not a prescription. Keep yourself safe, but let's choose when to do this, when to act, when to see that shining light in one another. And know that we are all threads in this great tapestry of the world. We are sparks of the infinite light of the universe, and we are held together by love and action and this sacred light. Thank you, friends.
Let's hold a moment of contemplation and worship, an old English word that means to consider things of worth in a generous and abundant silence. It's time to sing again. Please rise in body and spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 188. Come, come, whoever you are, and it looks like Alex is going to organize a round. Come on up in your gray hymnal, 188.
Okay, when a round happens, it's a beautiful thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have two sections here. If you're a musician and you see the timestamp on the song, we're going to do it slower. We're going to sing it all together through twice. And then we on this side will start, and then you will come in when it's time, and we'll sing our round for 3 times and just listen and immerse in the beauty of this round.
That was beautiful. I felt it. It's time to pause our recording. Resume recording as we complete the service. As members and friends of the Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists, we commit to supporting this congregation. Financial resources help us pay speakers and staff, support our social justice programs, and maintain our building. Please support VIUU with your pledges and offerings so that we can continue to be a vital community. Our congregation engages beyond our walls for peace, social and economic justice, freedom of belief, and protection of our planet and its inhabitants. Once a month, we contribute the financial offering to a regional, national, or international organization that aligns with our values. This week's offering supports our beloved community. Our greeters come and pass along the baskets as we join in singing, "Oh, We Give Thanks."
See why I love you? One more from Ruby. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray.
As we extinguish this flame, may you still tend the beautiful light within this community. As we extinguish this flame, may we listen with our hearts, curious, open, ready to receive the stories of another. May our hands be ready to serve side by side, sowing trust and justice in our shared world. May our souls be steady, honoring the spark of the holy in every person we meet. And as Rumi reminds us, come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, it does not matter. Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come, yet again come. Let us carry this spirit of belonging with us wherever we go.
Thank you so much, Reverend Carey. Kat Eggleston, Judy Whitney for lighting and extinguishing our chalice, Kate O'Hare for organizing this and coordinating this service, for Runa, and for Hospitality Team 4, and to everyone participating in today's service in Lewis Hall and online. Please join us for refreshments following the UU events announcements. It's time for announcements. If you have an announcement related to a VIU